In case you brought tomatoes today, I invite you to practice one of those fruit of the Spirit, mercy.
Okay.
Have mercy on me. Other thing, I'm aware of the time, and please have mercy on me, because English is my second language. My first language is Spanish, which is the one that we're going to speak in heaven. And that's why my husband is teaching his Spanish on Wednesday. So you're welcome to come and learn Spanish so you can prepare to go heaven.
I'm going to check on that.
It's an honor for me to be here in front of you this morning. Really, I'm so thankful that God granted me to be here with you. When I came to Christ, I was 13 years old, and that night when I gave my heart to the Lord, I felt that God put in my heart the passion to preach His gospel. And I had the opportunity before to speak in Espanol, of course, in different places. God gave me that opportunity. But the next thing it was in my mind was to one day I will be in front of people speaking with English speaking and share the gospel, share His word in English. So please have mercy on me. It's enough talking about me, so let's go. Let's do this. The most important area that we must protect in our lives is our hearts. And the reason is given to us in Proverbs 4:23. It says, above all else, guard your heart, because it is the wellspring of life. When Solomon wrote these words, he had made a complete account of the possession he had and concluded that none of that produced life in man. He realized that the heart was the source of life in man. And that source of life was more important than everything he kept. That is why he came to a conclusion and wrote above all else, or above all, guard your heart, because it is the wellspring of life. I would like to share with you this morning the topic, detecting where the problem is. My hope is that this morning we receive from God what our souls needs. Let's pray. Beloved Father, we are gathered here in the name of your Son, Jesus, with a desire to listen to your advice. Speak to us. We need to hear your voice, not mine. May your Spirit be speaking to us as a church and individually. We need to hear the advice of your word. Take control of this moment and do not let anything distract us from paying full attention to your word. In Jesus' name we pray. The word heart is written in the Bible 873 times, and the word hearts 88 times, making a total of 961 times. This only indicates how important the heart, your heart, my heart, is to God. What is the heart in the Bible? As a human being, we, of course, have a physical heart. But we are all aware that we also have something within us we recognize as an intangible heart. But that exactly is, what exactly is the intangible heart? As a human being, if we go to digging or go to the internet and we ask about the heart, we are going to find that we have a heart that is pumping in our bodies the blood. We have heard the word heart used since we were young, in everyday language, in literature, in music, and in other contexts. And most of us probably have a general definition of a heart, thinking of it as something inside us that feels emotion like love, affection, compassion, or sorrow. The definition of the heart in the Bible isn't given in one verse. It's spread through many verses and can be easy to miss. Since the Bible refers to the heart hundreds of times, it must be significant to God and to us. So what does the Word of God say about our heart? And why it's important to God and to us? If you search online, like I was saying, for heart, you'll find details on the physical heart with photos and diagrams explaining its function and the way it works. You'll also find a lot of information on caring for it so you can live longer. A poor diet, lack of exercise, and other factors can have dire consequences. But what about the condition of our intangible heart? If neglecting our physical heart affects our life negatively, then surely neglecting our non-physical heart is also detrimental. But how can we care about our heart if we don't know what it is? So let's discuss what our heart is, not according to our common understanding, but according to the Bible. This will help us to properly care for our heart in our life with the Lord. In the verse below, our heart in the Bible is a composition of all the components of our soul, our mind, emotions, and will, plus the most important part of our spirit, our conscience. In Matthew 9:4, for example, we read, "In Jesus, knowing their thoughts, say, why are you thinking evil things in your heart?" Thinking is something of the mind. But the Lord Jesus asked the scribes why they were thinking in their hearts evil things. Acts 11:23 says, "Who, when he arrived and saw the grace of God, rejoiced and encouraged them all to remain with the Lord with purpose of heart." The purpose conscious means to decide strongly to do something, to use our will. So this verse shows that our will is part of our hearts. John 16:22. Therefore you also now have sorrow. But I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice. And no one takes your joy away from you. This shows us that our emotion is part of our heart. Hebrews 10:22. Let us come forward to the Holy of Holies with a true heart in full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from evil conscience and having our bodies washed with pure water. As this verse shows, our conscience is part of our heart. This is further confirmed by the phrase, if our heart blameless us, in 1 John 3:20. Whenever our heart condemns you or condemns us, for God is greater than our hearts, and He knows everything, since our conscience is what blames or condemns us when we are wrong. This verse makes it abundantly clear that our conscience is part of our heart. So according to the Bible, our heart is not simply something we feel emotion with, because it's composed for our mind, our will, our emotion, and our conscience. It does much more. Our heart also thinks, decides, and senses right from wrong. When we read in Proverbs 23:26, my son, give me your heart and let your eyes keep to my ways. God is not asking you for the organ. What is going to do with that? But God is asking you, He uses the word heart to represent the whole of man. God is asking for the whole of you. With this in mind, I would like to go back to Mark 7 that we read at the beginning and understand the situation Jesus is dealing with and the great teaching of life that He gives us through this chapter. And I'm going to read in a different version, New Century Version. I like the way it said. When some Pharisees and some teachers of the law came from Jerusalem, they gathered around Jesus. First of all, we need to understand who were the Pharisees. The Pharisees were an influential religious sect within Judaism in the time of Christ and the early church. They were known for their emphasis on personal pity. Their acceptance of oral tradition in addition to the written law. And their teaching that all Jewish should observe all 600 and plus laws in the Torah, including the ritual concerning ceremonial purification. Who were the teachers of the law? And I'm telling you all this information so you can understand what is going on and what is Jesus dealing with. Those who were the teachers of the law, those trained professionally to develop, teach, and apply the Old Testament. In the application of the law, the oral teaching of these people often assume greater authority than the written law. Thus, at the time of the New Testament, the teachers of the law were in conflict with Jesus and the apostles who taught with authority and condemned the external religion acts that the teacher had fostered. So these two groups, they saw that some of Jesus' followers ate food with hands that were not clean. That is, they hadn't washed them. The Pharisees and all the Jews never eat before washing their hands in the way required by their unwritten law. And that's the key in that parable there. They washing their hands in the way. So the follower of Jesus, they never washing their hands in the way according to the unwritten law. And that reminds me when we moved to Delaware, the first job I had was in McDonald's. And I remember that they told me that we have to, as a worker, we have to wash our hands every 30 minutes. But it wasn't like, and something like taking like that, you know. You have to wash your hand. And they told us that every time you wash your hand, you have to sing, "Oh, McDonald had a farm." And when you're done with that singing, then you wash your hands appropriately according to their rules. So these people, okay, Martin Henry says that not necessarily that the follower of Jesus, not necessarily that they didn't wash their hands before going to eat. It is that they didn't wash their hands according to their unwritten laws. And that's why they were so mad at Jesus. So now, what's unwritten law? What is unwritten law? Unwritten law were laws that they had received from their superiors, but that were not in the laws written by Moses. So there were laws that they added and adding burden into the people. And some of their laws, they could do it. The Pharisees and the teacher of the law say to Jesus, "Why don't your followers obey the unwritten laws which have been handed down to us?" Why your followers eat their food with hands that are not clean? These washings had nothing to do with the personal hygiene, nor were they commanded in the law. This washing of hands were ceremonial customs that they adapted and forced it to be practiced. So that's why Jesus was so angry at these people. He was so mad at them. So mad that he used very strong word. Hypocrites. That's a strong word. And Jesus answered them. Isaiah was right when he spoke about you. So Isaiah, we're talking about the Old Testament. And Isaiah already spoke about these type of people. And Jesus is reminded them. And he said, Isaiah was right when he spoke about you. And then he added hypocrite. He wrote, "These people show honor to me with words, but their hearts are far from me." explaining at the beginning about the heart in this passage, Jesus is referring to their actions, their attitudes and behavior. They were more interested in practicing the unwritten laws than in showing love, compassion, mercy, and sensitivity to the needs of people. Then in the following verses, he continues saying, you have stopped. And I add these verses. You didn't read that, but I wanted to read it to you, this part, because young people need to hear this. You have stopped following the commands of God. Jesus is talking with them. And you follow only human teachings. Now Jesus is going to tell them one of those human teachings that they added, but they're not where in the written law of Moses. Then Jesus said to them, you cleverly ignore the commands of God so you can follow your own teachings. Moses said, you see how he referred to Moses? So they can hear that. Moses says it. I mean, this is law that was in the written laws, not the one that you added. And says, Moses said, honor your father and your mother. And anyone who say cruel things to his father or mother must be put to death. That was one of those laws that were written by Moses. And who gave Moses those laws? God gave Moses those laws. That was coming from God. Because God is interested in actions from the heart. Of the heart, a heart who being transformed for God. And one of the actions he mentioned here, it says, honor your father and your mother. And whoever said cruel things to his father or his mother must be put on death. In my times, I'm talking about a long time ago, I remember that even though I was so mad at my mother, I have to respect her. I have to talk to her very good, in a good way. And I think that generation, in those times, still they were practicing these laws, even though they didn't know the Bible. I remember that my mother one time, she spanked me. Spank is so sweet word. She hit me very hard. You know why? Because she had a visitor, her friend. And she told us, when my friend comes or I have a visitor, you disappear. Because you don't have to be in the adults' conversations. I remember those days. And happened to be that I was thirsty. And I was so little and I couldn't even grab the cup. And I didn't think, and I went. And I said, Mom, I'm thirsty. And she just looked at me like that. And I understood that look. And when she said, I'm going to spank you, she really meant it. So after that, I remember that I was so grateful for my mom. Today generation is so different. It is so different. But God, a heart that has been molded by God, needs to think about these things, these actions, even though if your mom or your dad, they're not right, and you right, young people, even though if you're right and they're wrong, you respect them. You respect them. You treat them right. Because that's what the written law says in those times. But sister, it was in those times. No, the word of God have changed a bit. It's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he says, but you say a person can tell his father or mother, I have something I could use to help you, but it is korban. I don't know how to say korban in English, but korban is a word that means a gift to God. In other words, these people, with their unwritten law, they added and said, you know what? You have to do what we are teaching you. Yes, Moses said that, but you don't have to help your parents. You can, everything you have in your pocket, no, give it to God as a gift. And Jesus is reminding that, and he says, anyone who says cruel things to his father or mother must be put to death. No, today is on the contrary. You see on the television, you see in news that the son killed his mom, or his father, or his grandmother. It is so different in these days. But in these days, a son who say cruel things to their parents, the punishment was death. But you say a person can tell his father or mother, I have not something I could use to help you, but it is a gift to God. You no longer let that person use that money for his father or his mother. By your own rules, which you teach people, you are rejecting God, what God says. I told you about the time, please have mercy on me. But this is very important. But anyway, today is Sunday. What are you going to do after this? After Jesus called the crowd to him again, he said, every person should listen to me and understand what I am saying. Everything Jesus said is important. But when he calls everyone together to tell them something, you can be sure that it's really important. What he's about to say is the key of the situation. There is nothing, he said. There is nothing people put into their bodies that makes them unclean. People are made unclean by the things that come out of them. And he said, let those with ears use them and listen. When Jesus left the people and went into the house, his father asked him about this story. And I can imagine You know, when you hear something, but you feel like, no, I don't want to make any question. I don't want to ask in front of everybody because our pride. I don't want them to know that I don't know that. So I don't want to make this question to Jesus in front of everybody. So they wait, and when Jesus went into the house, his follower asking about this story or about what he was saying. And Jesus said, do you still not understand? And that reminds me when you tell something to your kids, and then you say, do you understand? And they say, huh? They didn't get it. So the follower of Jesus, they acted that way. But you need to understand, there was years and years and years there for them to listen to those unwritten laws. It was a custom. It was something that they had already, and they didn't understand the new teaching about what Jesus was teaching. And that's why. What is it that he's saying? We don't understand. Something that comes into you don't make you unclean, but something that comes out of you make you unclean. So they asked Jesus, and Jesus answered, do you still not understand? Surely you know that nothing that enters someone from the outside can make that person unclean. It does not go into the mind. NIV Bible says it's not going to the heart. Mind and heart, the same thing. But into the stomach, then it goes out of the body, and you know where it goes. Now, parentheses are very important. Very important. And between parentheses, Jesus says, when Jesus says this, what? That nothing that goes into your body make you unclean. So Jesus said this. He meant that no longer was any food unclean for people to eat. Yes! We can eat anything. Of course. Not anything. And why is that in parentheses? Because he wanted to point that he was talking about food. Because he is God and he knows the future. He knows what are we going to think. And that's why he specifically said, I'm talking about food, okay? In Acts 10, 9, and 16, Peter is having a vision about food. And he says, about noon, the following day, as they were on their journey and approaching the city, Peter went up on the roof to pray. He became hungry and wanted something to eat. And while the meal was being prepared, he fell into a sleep and had a vision. He saw heaven open and something like a large ship being let down to earth by its four corners. It contained all kinds of four-footed animals, as well as reptiles and birds. Then a voice told him, "Get up! kill and eat. Why I'm reading this? Because what is happening right here in Mark with these Pharisees and what is Jesus is teaching to his disciple or his follower, if you see, is in Mark. But the vision that Peter is having is in Acts, in the book of Acts. So they still were having that problem, and they were still didn't understand yet about the food situation. Jesus is using physical example to give them a spiritual lesson. Does this mean, and listen to this, why Jesus clarified that he was talking about food? Does this mean that what we drink or what we allow our sense to consume is morally not neutral? Does it matter what we see, hear, touch, or consume? Indeed, what you participate voluntarily gives a testimony of what is in your heart. For example, entertainment that contains pornography, blasphemy, or simply glorifies what God has ordered as wrong does not actually contaminate you directly. However, it feeds the evil that comes from the heart. And through ungodly entertainment, we are given the opportunity to manifest that evil. So that's why Jesus was referring to food. Food you can eat and nothing is going to contaminate your heart. Food is not going to contaminate your heart. And all these are not contaminating your heart directly. But this is the food for your heart, for the evil things. And you feed it when you watch that, when you see that, when you hear that, when you see pornography, when you do all these type of things. It feeds what is already in your heart that is not good. That's why Paul charges the Philippians to dwell on whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy to praise. Instead of obeying, amused by things that gratify our flesh, we dwell on these things. Galatians 5:13 says, do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. We are free from the condemnation of the law, but we are not to use our freedom to gratify our lust, but in Christian service toward each other. And Jesus said, the thing that comes out of people are the things that make them unclean. All these evil things begin inside people. And the Bible is clear. In the mind evil thoughts, sexual sins, stealing, murder, adultery, greed, evil action, lying, doing sinful things, jealousy, speaking evil of others, pride, and foolish living. All these evil things come from the inside and make people unclean. Do the things that you put before your eyes inspire your sense with flesh desires within you? Or do they help to sanctify you? I have often heard Christians say when they want to justify a certain action or questionable choice, I can handle it. No. I can see this movie full of blasphemy. I listen to them all the time anyway. I listen to all this blasphemy in my job. I listen to all this blasphemy at school. So watching this type of movie with all the blasphemy, that's nothing. It does bother me. Or young people. I only listen to that song because I like the beat. I don't pay attention to the lyrics, just the beat. I don't know you, but when I'm driving and the light is on red, I stop and another car stops, close to me. And it's like it's a bomb in that car. Boom, boom, boom. And all the cursing words. But the young people, they like that boom, 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 boom. And not paying attention, all the cursing words. Or messages that they're wrong. When you have that kind of attitude, then it's dangerous. Many Christians seem to trust themselves too much. However, the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 10:23 says, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible, but not everything is constructive. Detecting where the problem is. I'm very sure that by now you have discovered where the problem is. The problem of man is in his heart. Sometimes our heart looks like a house that has not been cleaned all week. Also, sometimes we have allowed our heart to accumulate dirt, instead of cleaning it every day. We wait until the flies fly around, or we clean it in half. Congregate without forgiving. It's like mopping without having swept, or throwing the cloth under the bed so that the disorder cannot be seen. And how are we going to clean our hearts? Not the organ, but our hearts that we're talking about this morning. You know the answer. The matters of the heart do not tolerate mediocrity because they are matters of life or death or happiness or misery or fertility or sterility for the kingdom of God. The lack of order in the heart was something that also happened with the Pharisees in the time of Jesus. The fundamental thing in our relationship with God is the cleansing of the heart and not just the fulfillment of religious traditions. We also incorporate many traditions, and I am not saying that this is bad at all. I just want us to understand that traditions are something also of the present. Man has a tendency to neglect his heart and look at the external. We are lazy to review our internal motivation and deal with the problem of our heart. That's why we prefer to choose a seemingly easier way to comply with religious exercise. But in reality, we are choosing the wrong path because more and more our hearts move away from God. To understand what the functions of our heart is, we first need to realize that God's desire is to have a warm, loving, and affectionate relationship with us in which we and He share the same life, His divine life. For this, God created us with a heart. The Lord tells us in Mark 12:30, and you shall love your Lord with all your heart, from your whole heart. That implies with your mind, with your soul, with your spirit. So as we might expect, our intangible heart is our loving organ. If we didn't have our heart, we couldn't sense love, not love, or love in return. We were created by God in such a marvelous way with a spirit to contact, receive, and contain Him as life. And with a heart to love Him. He wants to be our life, and He wants us to love Him even with our whole heart. This is the relationship the Lord wants to have with you in life and in love. God created us with a heart so He can have a relationship with a human being. It's not a religion. It's not a religion is about practicing something and not taking us to God. We are not here because we're looking for religion. We are here because we need a relationship with God. Not religion. Our relationship with the Lord is both begun by our heart and maintained by our heart. When you or the young people have for the first time, I don't know, second or third time, a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and they have this relationship, you will see them, or when you have your boyfriend, now you're married, but you will see them calling and calling and calling them and calling her or calling him, or waiting for his call, or testing. They don't sleep. They go into 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning testing each other because why? Because the relationship that they have, oh, they love each other, that puppy love. They like each other. They want to be together.
And you and I can come on Sunday here, but what about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? Do you have a relationship with God on those days? Do you separate time to be with Him like a girl or a boy? They want to be with his boyfriend or her boyfriend testing. That's all they want to do. Because they like each other. God wants you to have a relationship with Him. He wants you to be in love with Him. And that's why He is asking you for your heart. Unless we are very careful, religious rituals can create serious problems. They may be giving as much authority as God's words, and even replace God's word. They may give a false confidence that what you do on the outside will somehow change the inside, but the heart must be changed. An external ritual cannot do it. And like when you have a problem with your heart, your physical heart, and you need to have a surgery, you're not going to look for somebody who don't know anything about heart. You're going to go looking for a surgeon or heart doctor. Well, the only best heart doctor is here today with us. His name is Jesus. And if you think that you came here because your daddy told you come, or because you want to come and I appreciate that. I want to see Sister Flor preaching. It's good, and I'm thankful for that. But I want you to be here to looking at relationship with the only one who can fix your heart. His name is Jesus. And He can fix your heart because He's the only one who knows what is in the heart. That's why a lot of people don't stay in the church, because they're looking for something else. This is something personal, between me and God. I have to learn this lesson a long time ago. And I say to myself, crying aloud to the Lord and say, Lord, I want you to fix my heart. I want you to change my heart. I don't like the way I am. I want it to be the way that you want me to be, the child that you want me to be. Today, if you think that you having a relationship with God, but just religion. When I was reading and writing, I was thinking, and I'm sorry, this is 12:25. I'm almost there. When I was reading and writing at home and praying, I look at my face and see the sky, and I was thinking about churches that I've been before. And there's churches that they have service Tuesday, they have something on Monday, then they have a prayer meeting on Tuesday, they have Bible study on Wednesday or in their houses. On Thursday, they have a little group on their houses, I believe. And Friday, they have service or either the youth service or the women's service or the men's service. And then Saturday, they have another service on 7 o'clock p.m. And then Sunday. And when I was thinking about that, I had this vision like Peter. I had the vision that, I don't know if you have watched sometime those movies that they're about zombies. I don't know if you know what zombie is, but zombie is people that they're dead, but they can move, they can talk, but they're dead. Zombies. And I was having this vision that a lot of churches, they're full of zombies. Full of zombies. They're just only practicing something. They're just going to church because they used to be going to church. But none of them have experienced a really, really, really relationship with God. But today, you are here because God wants you to be here today. And listen to His voice, not mine. Because I'm listening to His voice through Him. God is looking for a relationship with men and women. God is looking for, He is tired of religion. He is tired of practice, religions. But He wants your heart. If you are here and you haven't given your heart to Jesus yet, this is the moment. God says in Ezekiel 36, verse 26, 27, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. And I was thinking about this passage. He said that He is going to change our heart. That He's talking about a stone heart and a flesh heart. And I was thinking, stone. Why God related stone with a heart? And because stone doesn't feel anything. The stone is dead. It doesn't feel anything. But He said, I will give you a new heart. I will replace the stone heart that you have. That Sunday and another Sunday you listen to my word, but you're not reacting. You're not doing anything. You're not willing to have a relationship. Yes, I do have a relationship with God. No. If you're not giving Him all of you, 100% of you, you still don't have a relationship with Him the way He wanted. And why He's going to give us a flesh heart? Because, meaning a sensitive heart, that He will be listen His voice. That He's going to listen His voice. And not only that, and I will put my spirit in you and move you to follow my decrees
and be careful to keep my laws. If you haven't given your heart to Jesus, this is the day that the Lord has made for you. Revelation 3:20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and dine with him, and he with me." He is talking about relationship. I will eat with him. I will dine with him. Don't you feel blessed that the God Almighty, He says, "I'm here and I am knocking at your door." What door? The door of your heart. And if you open that door, He said, "I will come into you. I will dine with you." In other words, you and I, we're going to start having a real relationship. I want to invite you to put down your head and pray with me. If you think that God spoke to your heart this morning, if you think that this message, it was God talking to your heart, I wanted to invite you to open your heart to the only one who can fix it and cleanse it. He wants to clean your heart. And He wants to fix your heart. He knows that you suffer. He knows perfectly that someone make you suffer and broke your heart. He is here to fix your heart and to change your heart. Would you give your heart to the Lord this morning? Just pray this prayer if you want to do it. Lord, I'm here. I understand your word. I believe that you are the only one who can fix my heart. The only one who can heal my heart. I'm sorry, Lord, because I've been practicing religion. I didn't have any relationship with you lately. So come into my heart and cleanse it. In Jesus' name, I give you my heart this morning, Lord. Amen. While we sing